I am Faith. Hello.
I'm Robin.
I guess we could start since it's on Valentine's Day.
Yes, happy Singles Awareness Day, the day you are most aware you are single.
Yes. My friend and I were just talking about that. So yeah, we actually started talking about the fact that I'm kind of anti Valentine's Day in a way, and not even because I'm single, because I did have a boyfriend like last week, but so it's not even that. It I just never kind of really like the fact that you have to have one specific day to tell
Yeah,
someone that you love them. I feel like every day you should tell them.
well, it's also a matter of it sort of loses something, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because everyone's doing it that day.
Right.
Like, I feel like each couple should have, if you're going to have one specific day, each couple should have one that actually means something to them,
Right.
not one that means something to the rest of the world.
Mhm. I agree. And then I realized too that from a friend, he said that Valentine's Day isn't necessarily about like the romance and like not having romance any other day, or the fact that you're not doing something nice for your partner any other day,
Yeah.
but it's the fact that it's one specific day to celebrate love, which was pretty nice. And I look at it and I'm like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It could be like you love a parent, so
Yeah.
you tell them how much you love them, or something along those lines with friends.
Yeah, except the thing is, it's been turned into this very romantically focused day.
I agree.
And that's like part of the problem. Like, I miss the days in elementary school where
Mhm.
everyone got a Valentine. It was
Yes.
just a day where you had fun and sent each other goofy cards
Mhm.
and candy.
Yeah, that was cute back then.
Yeah, because
um,
I've actually had two Valentine's days where I was dating someone at the time.
mhm.
And uh, one of them, it was an online relationship.
Right.
She's someone in Canada, so we've never actually met in person, but we've Skyped and stuff.
Right.
And I think it was fairly early in our relationship, so we were
Mhm.
kind of still a bit in the, yeah, this is fun stuff. So
Yeah.
we sent each other goofy Valentines.
Mhm.
And then the second one, it was a guy who I don't even really count as dating him
Yeah.
because we only went on one date, and then we
Right.
just hung out all the time at school,
Mhm.
and it didn't last very long. It really didn't. Nothing really happened,
Right.
but we were still, quote unquote, together
Mhm.
on Valentine's Day. The problem was we've been snowed out at
Oh.
school,
Yeah.
so he actually stopped by my house, dropped something off,
Mhm.
and I had baked cookies, so I gave him a plate of those.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I've never had like a big Valentine's Day date, but I've
Mhm.
never been interested. And part of that is because the whole world's celebrating it.
Right. I agree with that. Um, yeah, like I said, for me, I've never been a big fan of Valentine's Day. I used to my Valentine used to be my pop, and then after he passed away, I was like, I don't really like it as much because he's not here. But I actually had a relationship that we started dating on Valentine's Day, so we would. To me, it was more the anniversary than it was
Yeah.
the actual day, because like you said, I feel like you should show that you love someone every day, and you should be telling them and celebrate your love every day, not just one specific day.
Yeah, and if you're going to pick a specific day, it should be one specific to you.
Right.
So, like for you guys, you would celebrate on Valentine's Day because that's when you met.
Right.
Like, I feel
Well,
like.
not anymore, but we're over. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
like, anniversaries, like, to me, that should mean more
Mhm.
than Valentine's Day. Like, they shouldn't hype it up as much.
Right.
It seems very arbitrary. Like, why the heck do we assign? And I'm sure there's some historical background to it, whatever.
Mhm.
Like something Saint Valentine, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably some historical background to it, but I mean, so
Right.
it's still an arbitrary day where the whole world goes nuts and you can't get a reservation anywhere.
Right. And it's pretty much like a Hallmark kind of thing. Pretty much to make money off of love, and
Yeah.
that to me is I guess where I have a problem with it, because instead of just like, celebrating love, you're celebrating things. And to me,
Yeah.
that, like, I'm a very sentimental person, so I don't really care for like all the materialistic things. I'm not saying that I don't like flowers or
Yeah,
chocolate.
no, those are nice.
Yeah, but I'm
You should
saying,
do it like
yeah,
because you want to, or because like you
yes,
saw them and you thought of them, not because
mm-hmm.
it's some day assigned by society that oh
Right,
yeah you better
yeah,
get flowers. And I feel kind of bad because when I was selling chocolates and flowers
uh huh,
for allies, I was like, hey, you know what would be a great Valentine's gift? And I was, of course, joking.
yes,
Like, I was just trying to be a bit more of a social salesperson,
uh
but
huh,
there's still that, hey, 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 Valentine's Day, you gotta do something.
right, right. I agree, and that's the thing. Like we make money off of it, and that to me is kind of the reason why I'm like, Valentine's Day is just another day.
Yeah.
I like. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love chocolate. I'm a chocolate fiend, and
Oh,
I love
yeah.
flowers. But I mean, I could buy myself chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
I could buy myself flowers. I don't need that. Like, what I find most important is like being with someone that you love and celebrating
Mm-hmm.
that, and like being there with them, and not the whole cards and the chocolate and the flowers, which yes, they're nice, but I don't want just
Yeah.
because you say, oh, this is, it's kind of like Christmas almost sometimes, like how it's so commercialized,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I'm aromantic,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not into the whole relationship thing, but like,
Right.
with Christmas, 2 days before I was with my friends going to see the Star Wars movie,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, there was some exchanging Christmas gifts, but it was like things that like, hey, I thought you'd like this.
Yeah.
It was like we hadn't seen each other in months,
Right.
so like we're coming together, and it was our time to have fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that should really be what the more the focus is on. It's just people being together and having fun.
Right. Exactly. That's my point too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all for like seeing family and friends and hanging out with them and
Mm-hmm.
being there with them, and that's my favorite part of holidays. But for Valentine's Day, it's strange, I guess, to me that you have to be like, oh, this is going to be the specific day that we celebrate love, when it should really be any
As you
day.
said, a
Yeah,
continuous thing.
yeah,
Like not necessarily always in a big way,
right. Like little
but
things, you know.
you shouldn't feel the need to express it more so on this one day.
Mhm. I agree. And there shouldn't be any pressure to have a boyfriend or a
Yeah.
girlfriend, or there shouldn't be that pressure that you have to do something for Valentine's
Yeah,
Day.
you don't, because it's a matter of what does your partner want? Like maybe
Yeah,
you and your partner aren't the kind of couple who does the big romantic things, and
right.
that's fine.
Mhm.
It's whatever works for you two, because
Right.
that's gonna make it work. If you try to work with something that doesn't work, it's
Yeah.
not gonna work.
Yeah, you don't have to do everything else
That
that
was a
everyone
fun
else.
sentence.
Yeah.
Really?
But you don't, that's the thing. You don't have to do what everyone else does. It's not all,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not all about the presents and stuff. It's about being with each other. And that's, I feel like a lot of us lose part of that. Like we lose sight of that, I should say. And,
Yeah, and
and
it's not our fault really. It's
mhm,
this all external pressure.
of course, yeah. And it's like, it's, commercials, it's TV, it's
Mm-hmm.
the media, it's everything pretty much. And I feel like that's kind of sad. And
It's a bit
yeah.
odd. I haven't heard that much about like any big Valentine's commercials for the Super Bowl. Like, I didn't watch the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, and I've only seen like 3 commercials from it.
Uh-huh.
But it's interesting. I don't remember seeing any like hearing about any Valentine's ones. Do you know if there were any?
I don't think there were. I remember the Doritos one, and then the puppy monkey baby.
I saw that. I
Yes.
was highly disturbed. I decided not to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, that was pretty
And
fun.
then, yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
Doritos one.
Uh-huh. That was fun.
I mean,
I mean,
let's talk about that. Like, let's talk about that couple.
yeah,
I
that type
mean,
of relationship. Yeah, that's
yeah,
like
that.
she's in labor and he's,
Well, she's not necessarily in labor. Like they're
oh,
getting a
that's,
sonogram for
yeah,
their
that's right.
baby, and he's just
eating
totally disinterested and
eating
she's
Doritos.
nagging him. It's
Uh-huh.
you see it sort of time and time again, and it's like,
Uh-huh.
why?
Yeah.
Like,
Like
why are you trying to pressure people into that?
what do you mean like into like
Like, you're trying to pressure people into relationships, and then
mhm.
the relationships you're creating are, oh, it doesn't matter if he doesn't care about the start of your baby. It doesn't matter if she's being completely mean to you. It doesn't
Right.
matter as long as you love each other.
Oh
Like,
god. Yeah.
no,
No, no.
no.
No, that I think that's kind of the problem with a lot of relationships. We chalk everything up to love. If as long as
Mm,
there's love, or all you need is love, and that's really not true.
no.
Love is nice.
Yes.
It's nice to have love,
Oh,
and
yes.
that's great. But there's so much more to that, and
Mhm.
I feel like, especially with this generation, we lose sight of what's really important. It's the trust, it's communication,
It's
it's
respect.
yes, the big thing is respect, and
Yeah.
it's talking things out, and it's not going to come easy, and that's what
No
people
way.
think. They think, oh, I'm in love, it should be easy, and that's kind of
Mhm.
where I feel like we go wrong a lot of the time.
Yeah, because then when you actually have to work at it, you're like, oh, it's not easy anymore. It must not be real.
Yes.
When it's no, that's not true.
Yeah,
I mean,
I totally agree.
I have my Canadian friend,
Uh huh.
and she was dating a guy for. I'm pretty sure it was over a year,
Right. Yeah.
and she actually broke up with him recently.
Mhm.
And because what she realized was that she went off to college, like they each went off to college, and so it became more of a long distance relationship, which was already hard on her because,
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
she and I were dating, part of what the struggle was that it was the long distance,
Mhm.
and she realized that she needs more of the physical presence.
Yeah.
But, she had been dating this guy for a while and she liked him, so
Mhm.
they were going to try to make it work.
Right.
But she went to college and she found this new group of people and
Mhm.
she just sort of became this new person. Like she
Yeah.
was at her high school, she was sort of the quiet one.
Mhm.
Like she felt like no one was really looking at her, but now people were actually looking at her and listening to her.
Mhm.
And so she was able to find her voice.
Right.
And so now this guy that she had liked because she could be quiet with him, suddenly she didn't want to be quiet anymore.
Right.
And so she had changed and he hadn't.
Yeah.
And she was really struggling with that because
Mhm.
she didn't want him to get hurt because it was his first relationship
Mhm.
and he's a really nice guy.
Right.
Like an actual nice guy, not the nice guy.
Yeah.
It's like he was a good person.
Mm.
He's a good person. So she didn't want to hurt him, but she couldn't keep hurting herself too.
Mhm.
So she really struggled with the decision, and she was going to break up with him after he came to visit for Christmas. Like
Oh,
he was
yeah.
visiting for Christmas, and then he was gonna go, then they were gonna go back to college, and then she was gonna tell him later. But he figured out something was wrong and made her tell him.
Mm.
So it was a bit of an awkward ride to the airport with him.
Oh god.
But they talked
Mm.
about it, like, and she was talking with people about it.
Mhm.
So like she didn't my one issue is that she didn't really communicate with him as much, but
Yeah.
I don't know that she necessarily could have because he didn't want to talk about it. Like
Right.
he had a problem with her being friends with me
Mm.
because I'm the ex.
Right.
And so he just kind of shut her out when he not okay.
Yeah.
Like she would try to be talking about something she'd done with me. It's like I don't want to talk about her.
Mhm.
Like it's like, oh well, I'm a her now.
Yeah.
Fun.
Mhm.
And so it was very hard to communicate with him because he kept shutting her out.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know that it would have worked out even if he hadn't,
Mm.
but that was definitely an issue as they weren't talking to each other.
Mhm. And I find that is one of the biggest problems in a relationship. They don't communicate, and like sometimes you do communicate,
Yeah.
and it still doesn't work. I mean, that's not
No, but
nothing's 100%, but
But if you communicate, at least you're not left wondering. It does give a sense of
Yeah.
closure.
Yes. Yeah, because then at least you know you tried. I mean, even in my relationship, I communicate it till I was blue in the face. And sometimes it doesn't work, but at least you still try.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. And you still have to have that communication because it is important to know that you're on the same page, or if you're not on the same page, and then you can work on that.
Exactly.
And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you want to work at it, they don't want to work at it, or vice versa. And that's hard, but I mean, that's sort of how it is. But it's not all about love. It's not just love.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a great component to have. But
Yeah.
there's so much other things that go into it besides just love.
Yeah, one of the things I appreciated about the new Star Wars movie, and this is possible spoilers, I'm not 100% sure, like it's not giving away anything big,
Right.
but you know, Han and Leia have
Right.
been separated for a while
Yeah.
because things. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to actually say it because I know, because shockingly, there are some people out there who still have not seen it, and even more shockingly, some of them might not know. But
Gosh.
Han and Leia have been separated for a while, and then
Yeah.
they do meet again.
Mhm.
And even in the midst of everything, they do manage to actually talk about things. Like, they're not shutting each other out, like, this is not the time.
Mhm.
Like, they don't really have the time to sit down and have the conversation they need to, but they're not shutting each other out. They're not giving each other a cold shoulder. They
Yeah.
do actually find a chance to at least try to talk about things,
Yeah.
and that was so great to me because you don't
Right.
see that as much.
Mhm.
And it goes back to the Doritos commercial. So often you don't necessarily see a very healthy portrayal of a relationship.
Mhm.
And that's so important because you don't want people to think that that's the norm.
Right.
Like, the norm should be that you should be able to talk to each other.
Right.
You should, you know, if the dad didn't want to be there for the sonogram, fine, they should be able to talk about that, and maybe he shouldn't have had to be there. Like, I can understand why, like, a sonogram may not mean as much as, like, he should definitely be there for the birth. But, like, it's a sonogram. It's not. If it's revealing the gender of the baby, that's different. But if it's just like a routine medical checkup, you don't necessarily have to be there for that. It's a matter of prioritizing.
I feel like it's more for the support of his wife.
Yeah.
And like that's another thing. Just because it doesn't like that's another thing that gets me is like no, it might not be something you want to do. It might not be even something that you like. But if your partner likes it and it means a lot to them,
Compromise.
They should at least try. And I'm not saying like every little thing, like
no.
but it's like some things that are really important to your
That's
partner.
true. That is
Compromise. And it doesn't mean like, I want to go to, One Direction and I want you to come with me. And then, but you hate One Direction. I mean, it's something compromise. Like, I want to go out. And you don't like One Direction, so maybe let's go to a different band. But it's that compromise. And then, I mean, with ultrasound, it's kind of hard to compromise. It's
ultrasound,
like,
that's what I've been looking for. Thank you.
it's okay.
Ultrasound, not sonogram.
Oh yeah,
is sonogram even appropriate for this circumstance? Have I just been completely wrong the whole time?
I don't remember. I forgot the whole time like
dear.
sonogram. I forgot to look that up.
I'm gonna look that up while I'm on my phone. Pardon me, podcasters who can't see me.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultrasound.
That's actually hilarious. I didn't even catch on. Yeah, ultrasound. Sonogram, I think it's like words or something.
No,
Am I sounding completely dumb right now?
A graph representing a sound showing the distribution of energy at different frequencies.
Oh my god, that's like
no, wait. A visual image produced from an ultrasound examination.
Okay, so you're right.
Like, they're not synonymous, but they are somewhat interchangeable. Okay. I don't sound completely stupid.
Okay, we're not totally off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh.
Now we have some comedy in our
Yes.
Woohoo! That's great. Yeah, but yeah, I think because that is important.
Yeah.
And at that point, I feel like he could have put the Doritos down for a few seconds. I mean, there's nothing more important than, you know, your first child or like your child at all.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was kind of like really.
Yeah. The thing is, like, my mom knew a guy, and his girlfriend was pregnant.
Right.
They weren't, like, they were dating but not married. I don't remember if they were planning to or not. But he had to keep taking days off in order to go with her to like every little medical exam or whatever, every single ultrasound or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was a problem because part of it was a problem because he was, losing days of work. The other problem was that meant he wouldn't have days off later to actually help her take care of the baby.
Yeah, and that to me.
And then when he was telling my mom about this, she said, "Yeah, I went to most of my ultrasounds alone." Like, and I understand like the support thing, but that didn't look like a very supporting relationship, really.
No, and see, that's the thing. Like, I can understand in that circumstance where you have work and you kind of have to go to work so that you can support your child. But with the Doritos commercial, he did not look very supportive at all.
No, it was like, a completely ridiculous commercial too.
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. However, it was to me, I have this weird humor, so
yeah.
But yeah, so I agree. It did not look like a sportive thing. It looks kind of like he's gonna do what he wants to do.
Yeah, it looked like, honestly, I think it was like that commercial. It's like, if you're gonna be like that, you should have just stayed home.
Pretty much.
Like, that's what it looked like, really.
And
that's not a healthy portrayal of a relationship.
No. I mean, but the thing is, there are relationships like that, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Not that it makes it any better.
No.
But yeah. So I feel like it's very difficult because we have TV shows and stuff that portray relationships, and it's totally different than what is really a good relationship.
Yeah.
You have like the players that just like kind of like the Barneys from How I Met Your Mother, who just go around sleeping with people. And
I mean, they do acknowledge that that's not he's not trying to maintain any kind of healthy relationship.
Right.
And they acknowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then,
but there are people who want to do that, and I think they should be allowed to do that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're upfront with the person and be like, okay, I'm not into a relationship.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a relationship, and as long as the other party knows, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
the way he went about it wasn't always like that.
No, he was kind of like, yeah, let's get married, and
he did whatever he needed to do to get the lay.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one episode in particular, and I haven't watched a lot of it. Like, I don't think I don't know that I watched any of the last season. I may have watched 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But there was a new female bartender.
Oh, yes, I remember that one.
And she, turned her nose up at him because he wore a suit, and she thought he was some business snob. So he started wearing casual around her, even though he's entirely uncomfortable wearing casual clothes. And he just, like, tried to pretend he was someone he wasn't.
Yeah.
Just so she would sleep with him.
Right.
And that's that's so wrong.
Yeah, and that's another thing, like trying to pretend to be somebody that you're not in a relationship, or just to get someone, and that to me is crazy. Like, you should be able to be yourself.
Yes.
And like, we're all different, and that's great. Like, it's good to be different. We shouldn't have to pretend to be someone else.
Exactly.
But I feel like we're all over the place with this, but
yeah.
But I mean, but there's so many different relationships. There's so many different meanings.
I mean, getting into another show I stopped watching with not necessarily healthy portrayals of relationships. Big Bang Theory.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I mean,
Penny and Leonard.
Oh yes. See, I didn't even have to let you know. Like, Howard and Bernadette. That actually turned out interesting because even though he was a hound, like, she was aware
Uh-huh.
Like they have an open relationship and it works.
Right.
Like they communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So even though
Yes.
Howard's a complete jerk, kind of really,
Mm-hmm.
before he settled down, like the way he treated women, like he
Yeah.
did, that is a good relationship because the show's still going, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a good relationship, I would think.
Yeah. Like, I do like that. They did communicate.
Mm-hmm. But
And
Leonard and Penny,
they're on and off again. And the crazy thing with that is that they got married. They're angry when they got married to each other. And I get it because, like, you're not always
ugh,
going to be happy with each other. However,
no,
the fact that. Have you seen the episode when, spoiler alert, when she has Leonard go to a psychiatrist so that she can have her product looked at? No.
no.
So she, I think she's in like pharmaceutical sales now, and she's trying to get this woman to look at. She's a psychiatrist, and she's trying to get this woman to look at her drug for
Mm-hmm.
her pharmaceutical sales, and she won't come in. Like she won't look at the sales or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So she has Leonard go in acting as a patient and talk to um, the psychiatrist, and then um, so he's there and he's talking to the therapist and sees how kind of selfish the relationship is. Penny always wants kind of what she wants and gets what she wants pretty much,
Yeah.
and he gives it to her, and he's very he's always being kind of walked on.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and then they switch sides, and she's in the because he gets the psychiatrist to be able to. Sorry, he gets the psychiatrist to say yes to seeing Penny, and so Penny goes, and that but they end up talking about hers. Sorry, Leonard and her relationship.
Of course.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just kind of like she didn't seem happy at all in the relationship with the things that she was saying.
Yeah, and the thing is, they aren't.
No.
And what pisses me off about it is that Penny keeps going back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, she walks all over him, but at the same time, she keeps going back to an unhappy relationship.
Yeah, and they're married now, by the way. But
Oh, yeah, I'm aware.
yeah, but
Ugh.
thing is, yeah, it's hard to because it doesn't seem like a good relationship because they're not always. Not even that they're not always happy because they're not always going to be 100% happy.
No, it's
Of
just,
course, like you're gonna have your bad days,
it's just,
but
they're kind of barely good friends.
uh,
Like, they have basically nothing in common.
that's true.
And his it's been a while, so I'm trying to remember correctly.
Right.
He kind of has the intellectual superiority complex with her.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing he's got over her,
Right.
and he lords it a bit when he can.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not fair to her. But then he's very submissive because why does he like her?
I mean, she's
Do we,
beautiful.
like
So,
is that
is it an
literally
attraction thing?
it?
I don't know. I mean, I would guess. I guess they've been through a lot together, so now they're kind of like
Well, yeah, but so have Leonard and Sheldon.
right, and they're still together as well.
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, platonically, but yeah, they're still together as friends and stuff.
and they still have a lot to work out with their
Of course.
friendship.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
you know, they Leonard and Sheldon have a better relationship than Leonard and Penny do
Yeah.
because they're able to actually talk to each other.
Yeah, and they have
And
that
it's
kind
still
of.
not an entirely healthy relationship because Sheldon is Sheldon and Leonard doesn't always know how to deal with that.
Right, but the other
And
thing
he
is
doesn't really
too.
try either.
True. Well, I mean, I think you try sometimes, but it's the thing is also you don't always have to be the same.
No,
But it's also that I think the fact that they both kind of understand each other in a way,
exactly.
and um, it no relationship's perfect, but
No,
for
no.
them it works. I think.
Yeah, because they have a certain amount of compatibility.
Yes.
They have the same interests.
Yeah.
They are intellectually on the same level or
Mhm.
close enough, and that is something that matters a lot to them.
Mhm.
And, you know, they are able to figure out their problems.
Right.
Whereas Laren and Penny is just the off again, on again thing.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, I guess in a way, like all relationships are really tricky, and I guess it depends on the actual person in the relationship, those two people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it's like a hard thing because I feel like most of us know, or maybe not most of us, but some of us know the right, not the right, but like a good relationship, like the signs of a good relationship.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily mean anything considering there's two people
Exactly.
involved, and one person may know,
Or
and the other
more.
person, yeah, or more. That's true.
Yeah.
Um, one person may know, and the others don't, or or they do, but they don't care. So I feel like it's just so much. I feel like anytime there's another human involved, it kind of makes the water a little murkier than
Yes.
yeah.
Which is why you need to have that communication,
Uh
is
huh.
so that, even if you don't entirely understand each other, you can at least work it out, and so
Right.
you're not crashing.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, like I said, relationships are hard. Everyone thinks that they're just like a cakewalk. Like it's so not.
It's
Like
no.
it's so much more than just like the fun cuddly stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to tell my friends. I'm like, listen, it's not as great as it seems all the time.
Exactly.
I
I
mean,
mean,
not that it's horrible, but
no, no,
it's
no,
like
no. But there is sort of, I want to say, the trope that keeps coming up of the honeymoon phase.
yes,
Like you first
yes,
enter a new relationship,
yeah.
and it's like new and exciting and all
Mhm.
fun.
I
And
hate
then
that
as it
part.
goes on, you have to actually start dealing with more
Yeah,
deeper issues.
yeah,
Like you
and
actually
that's
have to work out,
yeah.
what do we want to do long term?
Mhm. And that's the thing. Like, I hate honeymoon phase. Like, I really do. My mom always told me to like enjoy it while it lasts, and it gets you through the rest of the. Like sometimes it helps to remind you why you like this person. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I hate it. It feels not that it feels fake, but it feels like
Exaggerated.
yes, because it's all great, happy, and you know that it's not gonna always be happy.
Yeah.
It's not gonna always be
No.
great. You're gonna have arguments, and I like to just kind of like jump. Not that I like to have arguments, but I like to jump into the part where I know I can
You're.
rely on them to stick through it
Yeah.
to fight back for the relationship, not just run away and hide. And I feel like that happens a lot after like the 3 months, and it's like, or because that's usually the honeymoon phase is like 3 months, and then it goes into what 6 months, and then a year.
Um.
No, 18 months, and then
Well,
6 months.
okay. The relationship and a half that I have, the first one didn't last 8 months, and the second one
Yeah.
lasted half a semester of high school.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I have that figured out sort of to a T, like not
Mhm.
exact dates, but um,
Well,
we started, like he asked me out the last day of second quarter,
mhm.
and then I broke up with him the last day of third quarter.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about like most relationships, but
Yeah,
I'm
no.
saying like there's
But
the phases of it.
yeah,
Um, the majority it tends to be like 3 months, especially so I'm in interpersonal communications, and we went over the fact that most like college relationships, only
Mhm.
last for 90 days. Like the majority of 90 days. And that seems to be
I
true so
don't.
far.
Yeah, I almost
For my
feel like
last relationship.
I almost feel like it's a bit. Like that sounds like a bit much to me. Like,
Mm,
because I feel like with a college relationship, it would almost be shorter because you're
it is
living
short.
in close proximity to each other.
Yeah,
Like,
it is short. It's only
yeah,
3 months. And it's only like
that
the average of,
yeah,
so it could be a little less or a little more.
exactly.
So yeah, it's like it's the average of 90 days, and yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
so
just
you
about,
kind of do get thrown faster into the more serious stuff
yeah,
because of the close proximity.
very true. And you kind of have, not that it's fake, it's more
No, no,
like
no.
it's yeah, because you kind of are almost living together, so you see the flaws because
Exactly.
you're there every day. So
Exactly.
so you don't get a break from each other. You see the flaws, and you're so busy all the time, so you're really stressed, and it just kind of puts added pressure onto that,
Yeah.
I suppose. Um, but yeah, I mean, so like I said, in the beginning of relationships, you have those 3 months where it's like the honeymoon phase, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that, it starts to get a little bit more serious, and then it's not until I think a year or 18 months where it becomes an actual, what would it be called? Not an actual relationship. There's another word for it. A long term, yes, a long term relationship, and not all relationships can get to that point.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, my sister's been dating her boyfriend 5 years this November.
oh wow,
Yeah. And
that's great.
they did go through a really rough patch at
Uh
one
huh.
point just
Yeah.
because he's in North Carolina.
Okay.
She's in no, okay, she lives in Northern Virginia, but she's going to school in Fredericksburg. So that's
Okay.
Southern Virginia.
Yeah.
But there's still that very long distance thing. And there
Yeah.
was just, I think it was a very stressful period, but it was just a really rough patch where she
Mhm.
wasn't sure if it was going to work.
Mhm.
But they talked about it and
Yeah.
they worked it out and they celebrated their 5 year anniversary in November.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like you're always gonna have those. Is this gonna even work? Sometimes you're gonna be totally fed up with the person,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of takes taking a step back, and then realizing, okay, this is one rough patch. We're gonna get through it, and then
Yeah.
you have to fight for it. It's but so many people don't want to fight for it because they feel like um, there's this sudden like they feel like it's gonna be happy all the time. They feel
Yeah.
like it's gonna be great all the time. But it's not like that all the time.
Exactly.
There's so much more. You have to fight for it. You have to work for it.
You have to choose.
Yes, you have to
There,
be
there's a Tumblr post that talks about
yeah.
whether love is an emotion or a choice.
Mhm.
And reading through it, like the conclusion I came to is that I think this is sort of what they're trying to get you to.
Mhm.
It's both. Like it is
Yes.
something you feel, but
Right.
it is also something that you have to choose to work on. It will not always
Just come to you.
exactly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree because I feel like it is both. Um, because yeah, you're gonna have that like the one thing that's gonna keep you from killing your partner. You're gonna be like, yeah, I do really care about this person, and I don't want to live without them. And it's not necessarily that you can't. I hate that. I hate when they're like, oh, it's love is when you can't live without someone. No, you can
No,
live
no, no,
without
no.
anyone if
Yeah.
you really try. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
but it's whether you want to or not.
Yes.
Because and it's something you choose if you want to live with that person for the rest of your life. If you want to be with that person. Um, it's not just like, oh, I need this person. It's not oxygen.
No.
And
It's hey, I really like this person. I want to be with them.
yeah, and then the next step is working it out.
Exactly.
It's not gonna come
I mean,
all sunshine and roses all the time.
yeah. I mean, the Canadian I dated, she and I have an excellent friendship
Mm-hmm.
that I think is better than any romantic relationship we've ever been.
Huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
we haven't had very many fights. Like I don't. like we haven't had any actual fights. We've had disagreements, and then there was one time I was really mad at her because I thought she had spoiled Star Trek for me. Like I thought she had spoiled the new Star Trek movie for me,
Right.
and I was so pissed at her. And then she hadn't, and so then I was doubly pissed at her.
Oh,
I don't remember if that's when we were dating or not,
no, that's
but
great.
like that's probably the roughest patch we've had.
Yeah, I mean, it's the little things sometimes.
Yeah,
It's the little things
but
that piss you off. I
now
don't.
I honestly don't think we will work out as dating just because
Mhm.
part of it is I'm aromantic, but besides that, like that's a recent realization, but like
Right.
even before that,
Yeah.
I'm not really dateable, like especially with her,
Yeah.
because there's okay, so she was really looking forward to going to see The Martian, and she was
Yeah.
disappointed because she wasn't gonna get to see it when she wanted to.
Uh huh.
I saw that a week before she did,
Oh.
and I didn't tell her.
Oh gosh.
So
Yeah.
then she's like, "You gotta go see The Martian." It's like, "Yeah, I already did."
Yeah.
she she was mad at me, but
Yeah.
the funny thing is, I did the same thing with Star Wars.
Oh.
Like she was mad. She was upset because she was hoping to go see it with her dad,
Mhm.
like around Christmas time or like shortly, like around that time. And she
Yeah.
really wanted to see it with her dad because he introduced her to Star Wars. He
Oh.
raised her on Star Wars. She's a
That's great.
Star Wars nut. But he was pushing, and they wouldn't be able to see it until after New Year's.
Yeah.
So she went and saw it with her friends first, and then with him again later.
Mhm.
But I had already seen it with my friends a
Mhm.
while previously, and I remember distinctly. It was 2 nights in a row
Mhm.
where I wasn't online to be emailing with her, and I didn't. She and I have worked out where we don't necessarily need to explain where we are. We just sort of
Mhm.
need to let the other person know, hey, I'm going to be offline for a bit.
Right.
Because it happens, we disappear for a while.
Right.
And so the night before, I was with my friends watching 4, 5, and 6 as a refresher, and then the next night we were at Star Wars 7. 7? Yes, 7. Because I called it 8 one time, and then went, nope, it's 7.
It's
But, um,
it's hard to keep track sometimes.
yeah. So I withheld that from her very
Mhm.
deliberately, and part of that was in consideration for the fact that I didn't want to lord it over her that I'd seen it, but also
Okay.
because I knew she'd be kind of pissed at me for not telling her. Except
Right.
she wasn't though, and I think part of that was she was just so finally excited to have actually seen it
Yes.
that she didn't care.
That makes sense.
But it was really funny when she got pissed at me about The Martian, just
Mhm.
because she'd been looking forward to that, and then she was all excited about it.
Oh.
And and see, I'm a dick because I do that to her. So if we were
Are you
dating,
supposed to say that on air?
I don't know. I've been severely holding back, so I think
Oh, I
I'll
know.
let me let that
I
one.
I curse like a trucker sometimes. It's really horrible.
Yeah,
For yeah.
but I do that to her. So if we were dating,
Mhm.
she'd have broken up with me a long time ago. We
Oh
probably
gosh.
wouldn't be talking to each other just because she would be so pissed at me.
Really?
Because I do that. I piss her off because I think it's fun. Because I'm a sadist.
See, I never get this. Like everyone I date, they love to make me angry, and I'm like,
Well,
why?
I don't like making her angry. I just like taking her off. And it's just the little things that she won't get really angry about. Like, I won't
Yeah.
spoil anything for her because that would severely piss her off. And it's just a
Right.
dick move.
Yeah.
But I will withhold that kind of information just to
Yeah.
piss her off. Or,
Mhm.
uh, our thing is we write fan fiction for each other sometimes.
Oh, that's sweet.
And so, uh, eh, it was not so much anymore because
Is it like killing each other off now?
yeah, well, within the realm of canon,
Okay.
like we were very angsty canon compliant for the most part,
Okay.
and so I wrote a very angsty Star Wars fan fiction, and I couldn't post it because she'd get alerted, so I was holding on to that until she'd seen it. So I sent her an email saying, hey, guess what? I saw it a week ago. Oh, by the way, here's this fan fiction I wrote. Enjoy. she called me a dick in the comments, like, oh my god, you dick.
Oh.
Because it was so angsty.
Oh, wow.
But it works with her because we've known each other for 3 years, I think. But she and I, we've been through, dating for almost 8 months and that kind of stuff, and it is a very long-term friendship. But we are compatible enough that we can work out, and I can not necessarily get away with that, but it works with her.
Right.
And so there you have two people in a very unique situation with doing what works with us.
Right.
It wouldn't work for dating, though, because that's not what she wants out of a romantic relationship.
Right. And that makes sense. Sometimes people are better off friends. It's kind of like the whole, sometimes, it's just better that way. Yeah. But that totally makes sense.
I do think there should be like somewhat more emphasis on that, where you don't have to date them just because you're very compatible with them doesn't mean you can date them.
Right.
And like there's that old trope of I don't want to ruin the friendship, but maybe you don't have to date your best friend.
No.
Like you should be very good friends with the person you date.
Yeah.
But
I
mean, my best friend isn't, or like a romantic again.
Yeah.
But like, if I were dating someone, it's like, you're not my best friend. My best friend is these idiots over here.
Yeah.
The Canadian, the people I've known for 4 years.
Right. Yeah. And that makes sense. A lot of times we do say, date your best friend. And I think it's important to be friends with the person you're dating.
Absolutely.
And to become best friends with them and still have a romantic relationship is amazing.
Yes.
But it doesn't always start that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it takes time. Because a lot of times when you're starting out with like a really great friend, but you're kind of romantically interested in them, it can bring that worry of ruining the relationship.
Yeah.
Kind of like the whole like How I Met Your Mother thing again. With like Barney and Robin, or Ted and Robin. She's dated a lot of them.
Yeah, but you're saying with Robin and Barney.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I liked that relationship. Like, I was glad that worked out the way it did because.
But they get divorced.
Yeah, okay, the whole finale of How I Met Your Mother, I think, pissed off everyone.
Yeah.
And like that especially, because that was just unnecessary. But the only reason they did that was so that she could then date Ted, who I don't think was a good fit for her, because they did date and it didn't work out, and she left. And she left the blue horn, which was the symbol of their relationship. So clearly she wasn't interested.
Right.
And she wasn't holding on to anything there. And I mean, part of Barney's whole 17-step proposal plan was Ted telling Robin to go because that means he's let her go. And then they completely negated all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. See, for me, it's always difficult because I am like one of those people that kind of like once I break up with someone, I'm done, pretty much. At least romantically, I'm done. Not that I don't feel bad. Not that I'm not sad about it. Not that I wouldn't want them back. It's just like, I guess, kind of a security for me.
Yeah.
Of like being like, no, I'm not gonna go back with that person.
Yeah.
So whenever someone goes back out, I always think, if it didn't work the first time, then what makes you think it's gonna work the second time?
Yeah.
And I know there's some cases that
like there's like
does.
Maybe give them a second chance, but I would think it really depends on how the relationship ended, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Or like how it went to begin with.
Right.
Like there is no one overall way to deal with relationships.
Right.
Which is what we've been talking about. It's whatever works with you. And so sometimes you have to be selfish and not, and I don't like saying selfish because that's got such a negative connotation,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be selfish and decide what's best for you.
Right.
Because even if it would be good for the relationship to try again, doesn't necessarily mean it'd be best for you
Yeah.
to put all that effort into trying again.
Right.
And there was this guy I was friends with, and I had to stop being friends with him because he was being emotionally manipulative about things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I feel bad for you.
Uh-huh.
Like, I feel sorry for you, and I wish I could help you, but this isn't a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to look out for myself.
I feel like they call them psychic vampires, where they drain the energy out of you as you like continue to be friends with them. And yeah, I can see where that's
Yeah.
I I've had a few relationships like that, friendship wise and dating wise, and it's kind of like you get to the point where you know what's best for you now, and you kind of have to go for that.
And it will probably hurt,
Oh,
but
of course.
it's not. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy decision necessarily.
No.
Like it's
Not at all.
it's probably the clear choice. It doesn't mean it's an easy thing to do.
Exactly.
But you can't let the fact that it's hard stop you from doing it.
Yeah, because eventually you'll get over it. Eventually you'll move on.
Yeah, it will be better for you in the long run if you do.
Exactly. It's like my whole relationship right now. Like, well, ex relation. Well, okay. How my relationship was. You know that it's not necessarily a good thing. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person.
No.
They can be a great person.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't mean that it's a great relationship, as
Exactly.
in like a romantic one. So he's a great guy, just not a great boyfriend. And he can feel the same way about me, and I understand that. I mean, so
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, it hurts.
I mean,
like, it's gonna take time to get over it, but
we're human. We're not Vulcan. We
No,
can't
yeah.
just cut off our emotions.
no, unfortunately. And that's a thing. But I think in the long run, we both know it's the best choice.
Exactly.
Whether I was hesitant or he was hesitant in the beginning, it's the right choice in the long run.
Yes.
And I think that's what we need to look at more than just what feels good right now.
Exactly.
Because it'll be hell if you keep it going longer than you need to when you already know it's not working.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean give up right away. It doesn't mean don't communicate. It means communicate. See if you guys are on the same page. Work on it. If it doesn't work, then you know what you have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The bottom line that we have reached,
Yeah.
I would say, is that, and it's probably I don't know how many times this has been said. Figure out what works for you and for the other people.
In the relationship, right? I
Exactly.
agree.
Whether it is a friendship or a romantic relationship,
Because they're all relationships too.
or maybe even like some family relationship.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, whoever you are in a relationship with, figure out, work with them
Yeah.
to figure out
Communicate.
what's going to work.
Yeah.
Communicate and listen.
Yes. Exactly. You have to listen too.
Exactly.
Yeah, communicate, listen, and then assess it from there. That's the best advice I can go.
And we were saying compromise earlier, but sometimes you can't always compromise.
Right.
Like, don't sacrifice your happiness or your emotional health trying to compromise.
And that's totally different. There is a difference between sacrifice and compromise, where you can compromise to go to an ultrasound with your wife because it's your first baby, and it means a lot to her to have that support. But you don't have to, you don't sacrifice your own happiness, as in you don't do something that you're gonna like you yourself would not do at like my mother always told me, be true to yourself. Don't do anything that you won't be okay with looking down the road.
Yeah.
And that to me is sacrificing like your happiness, your what your morals are. You don't sacrifice those
No.
things.
Because no
Yeah.
one is worth that.
No, I mean,
No one is worth sacrificing
right.
what you're okay with.
And even if you think that they are, they wouldn't want you to if they were.
If
I mean,
if it is a healthy relationship,
yeah,
they
shouldn't
don't want to push you too far.
Right. Like there's limits, there's boundaries, and you know, like asking someone to stay in a relationship that they're not happy with, that's a sacrifice. Leaving a job that you work so hard for, um, just to make someone happy is a sacrifice, not a compromise, and they're two totally different things.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the position where you're asking someone to do something,
Mm-hmm.
if you're having that moment of what if they hate me for this later, that is one of the most important times where you need to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Because you need to be aware of their happiness as well.
Yeah.
It's not fair
Mm-hmm.
to ask them to do something like that.
Right.
Like, so if you're having that moment of, if you honestly are worried that they're going to hate you for it later, maybe take a step back and seriously consider what you're asking them to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to figure out something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Um, like I said, there's a total line between sacrifice and compromise. Compromise is something that you do when, I mean, you care about someone and they care about you. You meet in the middle. You don't totally give
Exactly.
everything up, and just for this person. I mean, relationships, they're a little bit of give and take, but it's not just about take, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta give too. You gotta give like some things, but it doesn't mean you give everything.
Exactly.
You know, like okay, I think a great example would be um, someone that doesn't want to sleep with someone, right? So
Yes.
that's one of their values. They don't want to like sleep with anyone. They want to keep that. Um, and then so you don't compromise on that. You're not going to be like, okay, just do it this once because that's their
Yeah,
morals.
no.
That's a sacrifice. You're giving it up. You're never getting it back.
Exactly.
A compromise would be okay. We'll watch the game right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, we'll watch this movie that I want to see. Compromise. You want to see the game. I want to watch this movie. We'll do both,
Or
find a different show that we both like.
or maybe do it separately.
Yeah,
Like that is a if you talk out with the person, that could be a very good compromise of, you don't necessarily have to do it together.
Exactly, because you're still yourself.
Yeah.
You still have that individualism, and that's important as well, as because there's a lot of times you are a couple, so you think you have to do everything together. You
don't.
Yeah, you don't.
And no one wants you to.
No. Sometimes you need a break.
Yes, no offense. We don't always want you to be a couple. Like, we recognize that you are a couple.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I mean, even couples don't want to always be a couple.
Yeah.
Because, see, I get that. I'm a very solitude person. I can be a very solitude person. I like my space. I like having my alone time, my downtime. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And so I get when other people want to. And then also when I'm in a relationship, I like to spend time with my significant other. But I also realize we both need our space too.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's very important.
I feel like that's part of the trouble with the honeymoon phrase,
Yes.
is that you are constantly around each other.
Yeah, you always want to be with each other.
So, yeah, the 3 months comes, it's like, you are so sick of them.
Yes, because you spend so much time and you're like, okay, I just need a break.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dear, but I need a break. So, yeah, it's that, yeah. I understand that.
Yeah, that's the Rachel and Ross kind of break.
Yes.
But like,
where you knock someone out.
yeah. Oh jeez. We were on
On
a break.
Yes. Yes. Oh god, I love
And
that show.
apparently that wasn't very clearly communicated either, because Rachel's like, we weren't on a break.
Yeah, and once again, communication.
Exactly.
Communication. You gotta talk it out. It's communication. It's the
Yeah.
most important
So
thing.
taking a break from someone.
Is needed.
Yeah.
You know? And then I think there's so yes, there's taking a break and there's being with each other. And sometimes I feel like when you're with each other, you need to just be with each other sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not always like you're together but like doing separate things all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like there's categories, right? Like sometimes you need to be alone. You don't want to have that person always with you.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're together, and then there's times when you could be together but still doing your different things.
Exactly.
But
And
you
then
have to
there's
have-
times when maybe you just need a break from them, and that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
Right.
Like,
No.
I love my friends. I don't hang out with them all the time.
Of course.
So if you're dating someone, maybe you don't necessarily want to hang out with them all the time. Maybe you just want to spend time with your friends.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. I mean, I think that's very important. You're gonna want to have time with your friends. You're gonna want to have time to yourself. You're gonna want to watch those TV shows that they hate, and
Yeah.
But sometimes you're gonna want to have them with you too. And then
Mhm.
there's times that you want them with you, but you don't necessarily like. Sometimes you just want to read a book and then have them there with
Yeah.
you, cuddle. But like, you don't have to have them. Just them. You know, you
Yeah.
don't have to just focus on each other.
Yeah. Catchphrase of the day: whatever works with you.
Yes.
There are going to be specifics of the relationship
Yeah.
that you two or three or however many, that
Mhm.
you and your significant others,
Yeah.
that you gotta figure that out.
Mhm. I feel like it would be so difficult to have three. I can't keep one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not judging anyone,
No.
but I know.
There's
That
for those
like I said, it works
talking with someone who is in a polyamory relationship, the one thing that they stressed heavily
is
is that
communication.
yes,
Yeah, definitely. But
and there is probably more work required in that, but it doesn't mean that it's not just for polyamorous relationships.
right, yeah. But damn, it's hard to keep one guy. It's hard to be able to communicate with them and have them communicate back without like
Yeah.
having two other people or more, and be like, okay, I gotta communicate with you, you, and you. Are you gonna communicate back?
And with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so much talking.
Severe kudos to the people who make it
Oh,
work.
definitely, yes. Like, kudos to the people that have been married for like 25 years and counting.
Shout out to my parents for who've been married for over 20 years.
Oh gosh, congrats. I don't know how they do it. No. I mean, and that's the thing.
Yeah, I could go
Sometimes-
into family relationships, but we don't have time for that.
We don't.
Alright.
No.
So, happy Valentine's Day, Faith.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Alright.